The Alpha Twins' final chapter. The truth will be revealed. Her mind was already moving. Planning. They needed to get out of here. "We have to go get father," Cora said, as if reading her mind. "We will," Octavia said. "But first, I need to get you both out of here. There's a servant's passage." "No," Nilo said. Octavia looked at him in surprise. Nilo rarely contradicted her. "We're not leaving without you," Cora said fiercely. "And we're not leaving without father." "Cora, this woman is dangerous. I can't let you." "That's why we're coming with you to help," Cora interrupted, her small chin jutting out stubbornly. Octavia looked between them. Her brave, stubborn children who had already been through far too much. "There's a trap door in the old chapel. Do you remember where that is?" she said finally. Both children nodded. "I want you to go there and wait for me. If I don't come back in an hour, I want you to run. Get to the stables, take horses, ride for your aunt's house, and don't stop. You're in charge of getting back up. Do you understand?" Cora scowled, but nodded. Octavia led them through the passages and up the stairs, into the chapel. She showed them the trap door hidden beneath the altar cloth, watched them climb down into the tunnel below. "1 hour," she said. "If I'm not back, you run." She closed the door before they could argue. Then she turned and ran for the main hall. She needed guards, needed witnesses, needed to stop Emiline before she could do whatever she was planning with Lionel. She found 3 guards in the corridor standing at attention. "The Countess Emiline has committed treason. She is a changeling and she has been manipulating the king. Come with me immediately," Octavia said without preamble. The guards exchanged glances but followed. Octavia's authority as the former Luna apparently still carried weight. They moved through the castle quickly, Octavia following her instincts. The throne room, the king's chambers, somewhere public enough to be seen. She heard voices ahead. Emiline's voice and Lionel's. Octavia burst into the hall and stopped dead. Emiline stood in the center of the room, pressed up against Lionel's chest, crying softly against his shoulder. His arms were around her, holding her close. When Lionel looked up and saw Octavia, his face went cold, hard. "Emiline told me everything," he said, his voice unforgiving. "How you attacked her out of jealousy." Octavia's mouth fell open. "What?" "No, that's a lie. She told me you would deny it," Lionel said. He held Emiline tighter. "That you would try to manipulate me." "Lionel, listen to me," she said desperately. "Seize her immediately," Lionel said to the guards. The guards moved toward Octavia, but she was not looking at them. She was looking at Lionel. The way he stood, too stiff, too formal, the set of his shoulders, the tilt of his head, the way his eyes did not quite track right when he looked at her. Now that she knew what to watch for, she can see it. "You are not Lionel," Octavia said. The guards paused, uncertain. "He's impersonating the king." "What are you talking about?" Emiline pulled away from the false Lionel. But before anyone could say another word, a small blonde blur shot into the room at the speed of light. Nilo launched himself at the king, small sharp teeth sinking into his arm. The king yelped, a sound that was not Lionel's voice at all. He jerked away violently and then, right before their eyes, his features rippled, shifted, and changed. Within moments, a different man stood there clutching his bleeding arm. Tall and broad-shouldered, features twisted in pain. "It's Ivor," Emiline gasped, her face draining of color. Cora ran in behind her brother, slightly out of breath. "We figured out causing them pain makes them switch back, Mama. Not very good shifters, if you ask me." The guards stared in shock, hands on their weapons, but uncertain where to point them. "These 2 are changelings," Octavia said, her voice heavy with authority and shaking with barely controlled fury. She pointed at Emiline and Ivor. They've been impersonating the king. She turned to them, her voice dropping to something cold and very dangerous. Where is Lionel? Emiline turned to Ivor, her face pale and confused. Yes, Ivor, where is he? Ivor grabbed a sword from one of the stunned guards, his face twisting with desperation. They will never find him. I can take his place. No one has to know. Ivor, no, Emiline said. We don't need him, Emiline. Don't you see? We can have the throne. You and me. I don't care about the throne. Where is Lionel? She screamed. I'm not telling you, Ivor said flatly. If we don't give him the antidote, he won't wake up. She said desperately. I know, Ivor said. There was something cold in his voice. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Octavia moved. She grabbed a sword from another guard and put it to Emiline's throat before anyone could react. Where is the king? Her voice was dangerously low, her eyes keeping Ivor hostage. He stared at her defiantly and said nothing. But Emiline began to cry in earnest, real tears streaming down her face. All I wanted was for me and Lionel to be happy. That's all I ever wanted, she sobbed. Countess, if I may speak freely, one of the guards said quietly, shaking his head. Everyone knew he was never over the Luna. It was public knowledge. The words seemed to break something in Emiline. Her shoulders slumped as more guards arrived. Mama, I can track him, Cora said suddenly. Me and Nilo can track father. Worth a try, Octavia said. But we need the antidote first. She pressed the sword harder against Emiline's throat. Where is it? In my chambers, the blue vial on my dressing table. One of the guards ran to get it. Nilo put his nose to the ground, his small body quivering with concentration. Within moments, he was moving, following a scent trail that led out of the hall down a corridor toward a part of the castle Octavia had never explored. Cora ran beside her brother, keeping pace. Their mother followed with 2 guards, a few staying behind to watch Emiline and Ivor. They reached a hidden door, so well concealed in the stone wall that Octavia would never have found it without Nilo's nose. Cora ran her hands over it, found the catch, and pushed it open. It was a narrow passage leading down into darkness. They descended carefully, the guards holding torches high. At the bottom was a small room, cold and damp. And in that room, sitting in a chair, staring at nothing, was Lionel. He was alive, breathing, but his eyes were vacant, unseeing, staring straight ahead as if looking through the walls at something none of them could see. Are we sure it's the king? One of the guards asked nervously. I can recognize my own father, thank you, Cora said indignantly. Nilo, still in wolf form, made an agreeing huff. Octavia was already moving, dropping to her knees beside Lionel's chair. Lionel, she said softly, cupping his jaw. His skin was warm, but he didn't react. Lionel, can you hear me? Nothing. He didn't even blink. I'm so sorry, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry for everything. For leaving, for not trusting you. Her voice broke. You never betrayed me. You never stopped loving me. And I should have known. The guard returned with the vial, slightly out of breath. Octavia took it with trembling hands and uncorked it. The sharp medicinal smell making her nose wrinkle. Please, she whispered, bringing it to Lionel's lips. Please come back to me. She tipped the liquid into his mouth slowly, held his jaw closed, massaged his throat until she felt him swallow reflexively. Then she waited. The second stretched into eternity. Then Lionel blinked. His eyes focused slowly like someone waking from a very deep sleep. They moved around the room, confused and disoriented, taking in the guards, the stone walls, the children. Then they landed on Octavia. Recognition dawned like sunrise, slow then all at once. He smiled. Octavia, he whispered, his voice. I'm here. His hand came up slowly. Forever? Yes, she said, laughing and crying all at once. Yes, forever. I promise I'm never leaving you again. Beside them, Cora and Nilo crowded close. They were whole. They were together, as they always should have been. 1 year later, the twins were playing in the garden, their laughter echoing off the castle walls. Octavia watched them from the window of Lionel's study, her hand resting on the swell of her belly. 7 months along. It's a girl this time, the healer said. You're smiling, Lionel said from behind her, his arms coming around to rest on top of hers, his chin settling on her shoulder. They're happy, Octavia said softly. Listen to them. Below, Cora was trying to teach Nilo some elaborate game that involved a lot of running and shouting. Nilo was losing as usual, but he didn't seem to mind. They are, Lionel agreed. His hand spread across her stomach, feeling for movement. The baby kicked as if in response. Lionel's smile widened. It had been a year since they found him in that hidden room. A year since Emiline and Ivor had been tried and sentenced. They were locked away now in separate cells in separate prisons. Emiline had cried throughout her trial. Ivor had shown no remorse at all. Octavia tried not to think about them. Most days she succeeded. Red. Lionel's voice pulled her back. He turned her gently to face him, his hands cupping her face. Where did you go just now? Nowhere, she said. But she knew he could see through the lie. He always could. I was just thinking about how much time we lost, she admitted quietly. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. We can't change it, we can only move forward. She leaned into his touch. But sometimes I think about what we missed, what the children missed. They had talked about this many times over the past year. The guilt they both carried. Hers for leaving, for not trusting him, for keeping his children from him. Him, for not fighting harder, for letting her go, for believing the lies Emiline had shown him. The children are happy, Lionel said gently. We're together now. It was true. Cora and Nilo had adapted to their new life with remarkable ease. Like they never left. They had their father. They had their mother. They had a home that was whole instead of fractured. That was enough. We should try to be more like them, you know, Octavia said. We should, Lionel agreed. The baby kicked again harder this time. They both felt it. Through the window, Cora's triumphant shout rang out. Nilo laughed, picked himself up off the grass, and chased after his sister with renewed determination. Lionel's arms tightened around Octavia. She leaned back against him and let herself feel the weight of him, the warmth, the steady rise and fall of his breathing. I love you, he said against her hair. Forever. Forever, she agreed. And for the first time in 7 years, she believed it without any reservation. That brings us to the end of Octavia and Lionel's story. A journey filled with betrayal, loss, impossible choices, and a love that refused to stay buried no matter how many years stood in its way. In the end, the throne was never the prize. Family was. If you enjoyed tonight's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the next adventure here on My Stories. Until next time, thank you for listening, and be safe out there.